Hello, I'm Judith Wester. I'm one of the instructors with CEDAR CIC, and we teach death education to young people and adults. And today you're going to hear something very special from a mother and daughter who took our class together. Let's hear what they have to say.
Do you want to go first or shall I?
I think they've been really good. I think it's been nice to kind of approach the issue from so many different angles and in so many different ways, and it's given people kind of the space and the opportunity to bring things up as well, which is nice. Yeah, I think it's been a really good experience.
I think it's absolutely unique. I mean, I've never come across anything like it. I mean, I know we've heard of organisations that deal with death, like Samaritans, try and prevent death, but this is just a whole new approach, and it just gives people permission to think about their own mortality, what is death, what is dying, what is dead, through really interactive programme, which I found fascinating. I mean, do you remember the story about the orange and the apple?
Yeah.
That's really stuck in my mind, because if you're told that this orange throughout your life is an apple, it's like, what effect does that have on you throughout your later life when other people are telling you actually it's an orange? And that is what Judith was telling us about death. If you tell someone that actually death is sleeping, then how do you get your head around that when you actually find they're not? I think that was quite fascinating for me. Are there any other parts of it that you've really kind of remembered?
It's just all been great. It's just been so different and yeah, really unique and really valuable, I think, for the people here.
And I think for me as well as a worker, seeing how the young people who've all seem to have experienced some very close bereavements with parents and brothers, sisters, grandparents, and how they felt really uncomfortable on day one discussing these, because obviously it was so close and it felt very uncomfortable, but how they came back the second day transformed, and how they've really appreciated the opportunity to discuss these things. Because I think, as Judith has said, there's this attitude sometimes when someone dies, is it, well, we better ignore it, we don't want to upset them by bringing it up. But this is actually deliberately bringing it up, isn't it? And I think they've really valued that opportunity, and some of the young people I've worked with have actually suggested, can we go off and do some art? We'd actually like to express it. And they've written letters because they've expressed that they haven't had time to talk, to say anything. Their parent, say their dad died before they got to the hospital, or their grand died and it was unexpected, and they've actually felt they've been able to write these last words they would have liked to have said, and then they're putting them in a keepsake box, and I think that is actually quite healing. So I think it's been fantastic generally. Do you, Laura?
Yeah, really good.
I would absolutely recommend anyone to come on this course. It's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the things I brought up actually, was one of the videos that they showed was it was how to talk to someone who's experienced bereavement, and there are people my age who still just are totally clueless. Like, when you know someone who opens up to you about that, it's like they don't know what to say, or they're awkward, or they ignore it. And I just think, I mean, I've always tried not to be like that myself, but I know a lot of people who are, and I think if you could just tell people when they're a bit younger, it's okay to talk about it, it's okay if you want to get upset about it, you know, here are ways you can support people, here's just a list of a few things you can say or a few things you can ask. I think it would really benefit people, because like I said, even people my age don't know what to say, or so I think actually talking to kids about death when they're younger is really beneficial.
And I think it has happened to some of these young people when they are quite young. And Judith herself was very young when she experienced a bereavement. So it's almost like, if we don't talk about it when they're young, when do you? When is the right time?
And I think there's definitely ways you can approach it differently with younger kids, but I don't think it's off limits in any way. I think it's great to talk to kids of any age about it, yeah.
Well, we've learnt things that have been very hurtful to say, so I think we've got some good ideas on what it's not helpful to say, such as if there's a cot death. Oh, well, you didn't know the baby very long, really, did you? And try and skate over it. Or, oh, well, it'll give you time now to get your own life back and go and travel. You know, things like that are quite hurtful. Or even just to say nothing. I think we were taught, weren't we, that there was one woman in a village who everyone just ignored the fact that her baby had died, and that was just as hurtful as saying the wrong thing. So I think that the thing that we've come across that is more helpful is just to say, I'm sorry, I don't know how you feel, but if there's something I can do that can help. So you show that you're sympathetic, but you don't just say, oh, I know how you feel, my laptop died. That was another one they said was pretty bad form. So I think it's okay as long as you say something. And
then just asking an open question as well, like if you just say, how have you been doing, how are you holding up, how are things at home, then if they don't want to go into it, or they don't have to, but then they can kind of open up if they want to as well. Yeah, giving them the option, just offering support, saying, you know, let me know what I can do, let me try and help you, you know, I'm here if you want to talk.
I think for me, how the young people have responded to this course, how positively, and how they've managed to open up about things that were very hurtful, things that have happened to them. I think I will remember that forever. And also the mortician. I call her Morticia, that's not really her name. But she was very, very interested because her whole life was dealing with death. She just had a very matter-of-fact way of talking, didn't she? I think she was very good on the video. I think the story about Judith's nephew and why Judith is doing this is also a very, very powerful story. And I think the whole concept of we teach people that this is an apple, not an orange. We tell people someone has passed over or they're sleeping. We don't actually necessarily tell children the truth. Perhaps that's because we can't cope with the truth ourselves, but maybe getting a more positive language would help with that, I think.
I think for me something that I'll remember and hopefully will bring some comfort, I think, in the future. Obviously Mum's got kind of incurable cancer, and I think the reason you wanted me to come was to kind of just to start thinking about things and kind of try and prepare in some way. And we had a question about the time of death because, like you mentioned, some of the kids said they hadn't managed to get there in time to say goodbye and was wondering why they hadn't tried to hold on longer. But Judith was explaining how sometimes people just kind of go at the time that they're ready, and it's hard for them to say goodbye to people as well, and like, you know, hopefully they'll go at a moment that's right for them. So I think, you know, in the future, if I did have any thoughts about that eventually, I think hopefully that would bring me some comfort. So I think that's something I'll remember.